Video, we are going to understand the graph of a periodic function. And what is a periodic function, you may ask? Well, the periodic function is a function which repeats its output. So we see this as a wave type function. We're going to take our trig functions, we're going to take our sines and our cosines, and we're going to graph these off the unit circle to make a periodic function. So in our case, we are going to take the function y equals sine of x. And you may be asking, Miss Abney, why is there a circle and then kind of like it kind of looks like a person. There's head and the stick body, a stick person. But what this actually is the unit circle, and this is what we're going to graph on. So let's start with our graph. Well, with the unit circle here, we start at 0. And then when we make our full rotation around, we end at 2 pi. Okay, halfways around the unit circle, this is pi. So halfways, I'm going to put pi. All right, and then between each of those is pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So that means halfways between these points is pi over 2, and halfways between those is 3 pi over 2. Okay, we could go further with this. The halfways point between 0 and pi over 2 is pi over 4, so pi over 4. Halfways between pi over 2 and pi is 3 pi over 4. Then this is 4 pi, 5 pi over 4. And 6, 7 pi over 4. So these are these points right here. All right, the next ones that we can actually graph are probably these guys in between. This is pi over 6, pi over 3. So pi over 6. And if you actually look at this, these 2 points are actually closer to pi over 4. So pi over 6 than they are halfways in between. Pi over 3. Then we have over here kind of gravitating towards 3 pi over 4. We have 2 pi over 3. And we have 5 pi over 6. And again, I'm just getting these from the unit circle. Then on the other side of pi, again, we're pi over 6 reference away, which gives us 7 pi over 6 here. And this one right here is going to be 4 pi over 3. Then again, hovering around the pi's over 4 kind of elements here, we have 5 pi over 3. And then we have 11 pi over 6. All right. Now sine is the y output. So if I'm looking at this guy right here, this 0 point, this is going to be 1, 0. And I'm going to look at the y position, the 0. So I'm just trying to pick a color that I like here. I think I'm going to go with this color. So my y point here is 0. So I'm going to, at 0, I'm going to graph 0. Now right here, this is going to be 1. Right here, this is going to be -1. Make sure all my units are in there. And I'm just going to work my way each point around the circle. So this one is going to be comma. Oops, I put a comma there already. This is going to be square root of 3 over 2, comma 1/2. But I'm looking at just the sine component. So at pi over 6, I'm at 1/2. Pi over 4 is the square root of 2 over 2 on the y. So that's about 0.707, so it's about here. And this is about 0.8. And this right here is 1. as we continue, so this is 1 comma, or 0 comma 1. And this is root 3 over 2. And then we're going to make our way back. So this is my sign here. Remember, this is just x. I'm just going to put x in its place. Now that's our cosine. My sine going down this way is, again, my y values, which is going to be root 3 over 2. This is the y is positive, so we're going to keep going down, root 3 over 2, which is 0.866, I believe, in the decimal. Then we're going back down, which is root 2 over 2, which is going to be 0.707. Let's see, did I line that up? This is not lined up perfectly. Right there. And then this is going to be 1/2. Root 3 over 2. That's a negative on this side. Your x's are negative on this side. So we're looking at 1/2 here. And then when we get to pi, we're again 1 comma 0. So we're back at 0. This is a little off. Oh, because 1/2 is right here. Try to line that up a little bit better here. Okay. Then we keep repeating around. So this is negative root 3 over 2, negative 1/2, because now we're in the third quadrant. So negative 1/2 would be here. Then this would be root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. And I said root 2 over 2 is roughly 0.707. So roughly right here. Then again, we're going to do 1/2 negative root 3 over 2. And this is negative 0.866. I believe it's 0.866. Then we're down here, which is 0 comma negative 1. And then we make our way back up again, all the way back up to 0. All right, so I have these nice little dots. I'm going to actually add a new layer just in case I don't connect the dots very well. I could just delete that one layer. And what we find is we have a periodic function. We have this like roller coaster, or this wave type function. So notice that the y values begin to repeat themselves again after 2 pi. So then we're going to go up and back down again, and up and back down, and this will go on and on and on for a domain of negative infinity to infinity. All right. So here we have basically a sine function. The period of this function is basically the full rotation. So this is the period. Period. And again, it's when you go back into that. This is the start of the next repeat of this function. So that is the period of the function. The amplitude would be from, let me change colors here. I'm going to pick this orangey color. The amplitude would be basically halfway max plus min. So this would be your min value, this is your max value, this is actually your amplitude length. So we'll get more into these and exactly how we can basically look at these things through it and the different parts. Actually, you know what, let me just, one more thing, let's denote the midline. And the midline is actually this piece right here. Let me grab an actual line here because you all have seen my lines. And it's basically the line that cuts this wave function in half. Halfway between the maximum and the minimum is going to be the midline. That means that midline will move with the graph. The midline helps us find the amplitude. Basically, the amplitude is a distance from the midline to the max, or the distance from the midline to the min. And I say distance because remember that distance is going to be absolute value. All right, so amplitude is half the max and min. Midline is the middle of the wave. And again, you could find that by doing 1/2 max plus 1/2 min, and I'll give you that line. Okay, you can find it just by basically finding the middle. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. All right, guys, so there we have it. There is our periodic function. And yeah, it's basically it. Oh, and the range here is -1 to 1. The domain is all real numbers. And for this one, the midline is at 0. The amplitude is 1 because the distance from the midline to the maximum or minimum part is 1. So there we have it. There we have all the different parts of this periodic function. These terminologies are not just for sine. You can use them for cosine as well, since that is also a periodic function. All right, guys, so if you have any questions or comments, always feel free to ask, and I will catch you in the next video.